Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday morning, and you are listening to K-Talk Radio. We are live this morning on the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki. We've got a guest today, Colton Halverson. He's from Integrated Title Services. So today, we are going to be talking about the ins and outs of a real estate transaction through the eyes of an escrow officer and title company. You know, I get a lot of clients that ask me, who are the title company? What do they do? You know, and they never really even meet them until the very, very end in many occasions. So Colton's going to share a lot about what these guys do in the background to get you ready for that day when you go and sign and close. We'll also be discussing the top 3 questions Colton is asked by his clients. And I like to go over these because if they're the top 3 questions, they're probably good questions you should know when you go to work with the escrow officer. We'll also be hearing about a nightmare story. Now, Colton's actually got 2, and title companies are the guys that deal with all the money. So nightmare stories usually are probably not good stories when we hear of them through people like Colton. And so you're going to want to stay tuned because nightmare stories are never fun to go through, but they are valuable to hear about so we can learn the lessons that somebody else made. And we're also going to go through the step-by-step on what an escrow officer or a title company does for you in a real estate transaction. And then we will wrap up the show with some hot seat questions. So, Colton's past experience as a real estate agent gives him the knowledge to know what real estate agents and their clients expect. His background in sports also gives him the advantage of knowing the importance of being a part of a team for real estate agents and loan officers, making certain they shine in the eyes of their clients to ensure they get the referral and repeat business they need and deserve. So Colton was an athlete all through high school as well as college, so he definitely knows the importance of a team. So without further ado, Colton, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Yoshi.
Absolutely. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to talk about the top 3 questions, and if you could touch on each question a little bit about why you think they're good questions that you're as far as people asking these questions. So what are the top 3 questions you are asked by your clients, and if you could share your thoughts on each one, please.
Yeah, so probably the biggest question we get asked on a day-to-day basis is, what is title insurance? It's kind of a confusing process, and nobody really knows what it is, nobody really knows what it covers. So that's really the biggest one we probably get asked on a daily basis.
Got it.
So title insurance, what you're really paying for is you're getting the knowledge and expertise that comes with a title insurance company. We've been in business now for 20 years here at ITS. Our owners have been in the business a combined 87 years.
Wow.
So there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise there that you're paying for. You're also getting coverages based on our exhaustive search that we do on the backgrounds of title. So we're searching for judgments, encumbrances, anything that might be on a property that could adversely affect your position in purchasing that property. You're also paying for protection against human errors, for example, errors in abstract and title, overlooked judgments, taxes. If things pop up like that, of course, we're going to be the first ones there to take care of you, make sure that those are taken care of, make sure that we can get through that process with you and help guide you through there and potentially any claims that might pop up from those.
Awesome.
We're also looking for taxes, missed mortgages, missed easements, any errors in examining the conditions of title, mistakes in consulting wills, deeds of trust, court documents. We deal with divorces on a daily basis at ITS, and we really like to make sure that we are reading through all those documents, but sometimes things do get missed due to human error. We try to avoid those at a minimum. We always have assistants and our title searches. We have other escrow officers that also help us with those transactions, and we really try to minimize your risk as a consumer, and that's really what you're paying for with title insurance. You're also getting protection against any kind of fraud.
Got it.
So wire fraud, anything that might pop up, such as maybe a forged document, somebody selling a property that they don't actually own. We do a research into those properties and make sure that you're getting exactly what they tell you you're getting.
Got it.
And you're not being misled or misrepresented by anybody as far as the real property goes.
Gotcha. You know, that's huge because as you know, Colton, I buy and flip houses and remodel houses, and occasionally I will buy a home from heirs that are selling their property. Their parents passed away, and so now they're selling the property, and we go to open up title, And lo and behold, they didn't realize that 3 years ago, one of their brothers went to jail, and mom and dad bailed him out, and that lien is still on the house.
Yeah, that bail bonds lien.
Bail
right?
bonds lien, yeah. The bail bonds lien's still on the home. And so it's extremely important that you're making sure when you're buying these, you're getting clean, clear title. So
yeah, so if you'd have bought that without title insurance, nobody would have known about it, right?
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Then
So-
I would have paid for his bail.
Yeah, I was going to say, then that would have been your responsibility at that point, right?
right. Which would not be fun.
Another big question that we get asked is, how are their funds taken care of throughout a transaction?
Got it.
So we are the ones that are responsible for all of your money throughout the transaction. So we're going to receive all the funds.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to receive the funds from your lender, receive funds from your buyer. If you're refining and you're sending in funds to close, we're going to receive those funds as well. We hold everything in a federally insured depository, which every title company in Utah is the exact same. We all hold them at our federally insured depositories in our trust accounts. And our our instructions don't change, so it's the same from transaction to transaction to transaction, depending on what title company you're dealing with. From there, we disperse and make disbursements according to our settlement statements that we prepared. So if we're paying loans off, if we're sending funds to an attorney, if we're doing a 1031 exchange, we have those instructions at closing, and then we disperse your funds from there.
Got it.
But we don't disperse until we're in a position to record whatever it is that we're recording, or whatever our instructions are, as far as the transaction goes.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. So it's taken care of very carefully throughout the whole transaction with lots of instructions.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So when your money's probably your most important part, right?
Right.
That's what you worked for. That's where you're putting down your big down payment, $46,000 or whatever it is that you're putting down.
Yep.
You've probably saved a long time for that, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure that is taken care of and that there's no questions on where that's going or who's actually receiving your money.
Perfect. Excellent. Going back, I just had a quick question. You had mentioned that, like, when you guys review documents, trusts, wills, all that stuff, some of those are books.
Yes, some of them are. Yes, there's trusts out there that are 200 pages, 300 pages.
Right.
Yeah, so we go through and read that entire document.
Oh my God! Now, do you do that yourself, or is there?
Depends. So if one of our title officers has it, we have multiple people look at it. If we have questions on something, we grab somebody else to get their interpretation of it.
Gotcha.
Because everyone's opinion is different, right?
Right.
Like how you read a document is going to be different than how someone else reads a document.
Right.
So we really try to get as many opinions on those documents as we can.
Got it.
So that there's no questions or gray area that could come back later.
Got it. What would you say the average, just ballpark trust, the amount of pages, the average trust that you guys go through is?
Probably anywhere from 50 to 60.
50 to 60.
Yeah, 50 to 60 pages.
How long does that, I mean, obviously it depends on how quick you can read, but I mean, is that something you're busting out in an afternoon?
So I like to do it really after hours,
Okay.
just because it does take a little bit longer,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to get really into that document.
Right.
So sometimes it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour,
Got it.
depending on how complicated the trust is and what kind of language or verbiage that they have in that trust, as far as errors, different disbursements that they want made. Say they want disbursements made to charity.
Yeah.
Just different things of that nature. So just depending on how complicated the trust is, and determines how long it's going to take.
Got it. Okay. And then how many times do you see missing documents from a trust of like 200 pages, 100 pages? What happens then?
So not very often.
Okay.
Normally when that happens, though, we're going to need a court order or
Okay.
a court interpretation of that document.
Got it.
Before we can proceed. Normally, with missing documents, it's more LLC documents that we're missing, like an operating agreement. Most people don't even have an operating agreement; they just have their articles.
Yes.
Which isn't a problem, but we really like to have those operating agreements just to tell us who's a part of that LLC. So more missing documents come on LLCs and corporations than they do on trusts.
Got it. Okay. Here's an interesting question. I'm working on purchasing a home where the sellers have a trust, and basically on around page 15 it explains that only one trustee needs to sign on behalf of the trust without the permission of anybody else.
Okay.
However, how many times could it possibly change? So let's say you go to that was about page 15, and let's say I jumped over to page 80. Because I didn't read the entire trust, I was looking to see who, basically when I sat down with these people, I wanted to see who's in charge of signing. I wanted to make sure I was talking to the right person before I try to buy a home, and it's not even the person who can sell the home, right? So they handed me their trust, and I saw on page 18 that one trustee could sign on behalf of all trustees, and there were only 2 trustees. But how likely is it, let's say on page 80, that mom and dad, before they passed away, had it revised so that both trustees now need to sign? Does that happen often?
Yeah, so they probably would have done an amendment to their trust,
Okay.
which we'd call just the first amendment to the trust.
Got it.
And that could have been anywhere in those documents, so they would have just handed you the stack.
Yep.
And I've seen some that are 4 amendments long.
Oh my gosh.
So it really just depends on if they amended it. There would be an actual document in there that amends that entire trust.
Yes.
And then from there, they'd have pretty much a brand new trust.
Got it. Okay, very cool, excellent. And a lot of great questions that I came up with as you were talking. How about the third question that you're asked?
Yeah, so who chooses a title company is another big one that we get. So usually real estate agents and loan officers are going to direct where that transaction is going to go.
Okay.
However, if you are a direct consumer, so you're paying for that insurance policy, you can really determine where you want to close. So if you know somebody that's in the industry, or you have a friend that's in the industry, you can definitely use them, even if your real estate agent wants to use somebody else.
Got it.
But I would always recommend going with who your real estate agent trusts, because that's who they do business with, and that's who they trust, and that's who they're putting their reputation on the line. That's who's going to get the job done for them.
Perfect, excellent. Those are great questions that you are asked. I think those are very valuable for our listeners. So when you guys are out there looking to purchase or sell your next transaction, you're wondering which title company to use, those are some great questions to ask them.